Welcome back to Sports Roundtable, State News' sports podcast. Last one of the semester. Very, very sad times. Try not to shed some tears, guys, please. But I'm back. I'm your host, Jacob Smith, with my co-host, Maddie, and guests, Alana and Thomas. Second appearance of the semester, so they're going out with a bang.
Second appearance of the year.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks, guys.
Here's your little warm welcome, Thomas.
Unbelievable.
Sorry.
Just setting the standard. I'm just kidding. But it is nice to have a packed house for our last episode. 4 people around the whole table, hence why it's called Roundtable. But we got some exciting topics for you guys today because Michigan State really does not have anything going on with sports. So we're doing another pro episode because I ran out of ideas. But it's an exciting week in pro sports because the NFL draft is tomorrow, which snuck up really fast. MLB season's in full swing, and the NBA and NHL playoffs have not disappointed so far. So we got some fun topics, but we're going to start off with the NFL draft. I know this is like kind of a weaker class than normal, but is there any consensus who you guys think is going to go number 1 overall? Because that's kind of the talk of the town right now with Tennessee on the clock.
Thomas, go ahead.
First of all, I didn't know it was tomorrow.
It is tomorrow.
Well, I knew today, but I was like 2 days ago years old when I learned. I would say it's probably because of it being labeled like a weaker class. Relative to recent classes, I think I was reading an ESPN article, and one NFL general manager said there are 4, maybe 5 blue chip players. After that, it's 40 guys with a late first round or second round grade.
Wow.
And again, these general managers are involved, but they're not the scouts. They're not the ones who are, crushing hours of film on these guys. But I think what we're going to find is that there's going to be a lot of dispersion between the mock people and what actually happens for that very reason.
Yeah.
There's just going to be, I feel like, more things flying in that regard. I think Cam Ward will go number 1, though, and this is mostly just me reading other experts' stuff, and I don't know what you guys think, but, Travis Hunter is a guy I think will go higher than he should go, and we'll get into that, but I think Cam Ward's going number 1, personally.
Yes.
Honestly, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Thomas. I found out on Tuesday that the NFL draft was on Thursday, and I was kind of like, forgot about that. But last year, I feel like it was more prominent to us because it was in Detroit, so there was so much hype around it coming to Michigan.
Yeah, I was there. It was awesome.
I know, I remember. Yeah, but I mean, honestly, besides Cam Ward and Travis Hunter, I really don't know anybody that's supposed to go top 5 in the draft this year. Like, I just haven't paid attention because it has been a weaker class.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same. It's been a pretty weak class. It's just, like, it lacks, like, a top-heavy, like, QB or wide receiver and stuff like that. But I wouldn't disagree with Cam Ward in any way. But I don't think Abdul Carter is, like, a bad pick either, necessarily. Just a weak class.
Yeah, Abdul Carter. Yeah, Abdul Carter had a lot of buzz, especially like with Tennessee, kind of needing like everything as they are number 1 on the clock. But I think they would kind of be silly not to go Cam Ward because Levo Levis has just not panned out in his time in Tennessee, and they kind of need a quarterback. And Cam Ward can be a franchise out of Miami, but
right, and I don't think that you look at the Titans and you say that's a franchise that would mess up this opportunity. Like we've seen franchises historically, year after year, miss on quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And I think that it's such a quarterback league now that, especially an organization like the Titans, who has had success in recent years and seems to be healthy-minded from the outside looking in, I think that they will realize the importance of having a guy like Cam Ward who immediately has a presence from day 1 and can compete.
Yeah, because he showed that in college. I mean, very athletic, kind of plays a little nonchalant, as some people would say, but he makes the right reads, very good throws. He's a mobile quarterback. I think a funny thing to note is that why I think he's going number 1 is because he was playing Fortnite on stream, and one of his duo members said, "Who are your favorite wide receivers in the league?" And he said Calvin Ridley and Treylon Burks, who are 2 Titans receivers, for those that don't know. So I feel like Cam Ward's probably been on the phone in Tennessee, to say the least. He's definitely a number 1 caliber player, and like Alana said, like there's not really anybody like behind him that can compete as a quarterback for the number 1 pick. I mean, Shedeur Sanders is the next best quarterback in the draft, and there's talks of him going like Steelers mid-round for mid-first round. So I think Cam Ward's definitely the pick, but it makes it interesting because then after that, I feel like all kind of breaks loose, and that's why I want to get into like some of where you guys think some other players will go, such as Travis Hunter, Shitter Sanders, Ashawn Genty, who should have won the Heisman in my opinion, but those guys as well.
I mean, I'm looking at like an ESPN top whatever, like how people are projecting others to go. I thought that Mason Graham from Michigan was supposed to go a lot higher than 9th. Like I thought for a while before that he was supposed to go at least top 5. I don't know. I thought I saw things out there. That or I was just listening to my dad who likes Michigan and he said something about it.
I think there are some complications with like how he fits as an NFL player. His position, he's kind of a hybrid defensive lineman, and in today's NFL, all the edge rushers it's its own position now. It's called edge, whereas it was historically just being outside linebacker. And I think that teams are looking for more of like a true D end or a true nose guy rather than someone who can play both. Although I think he's shown in his body of work that he can produce against those guys up front. At a school like Michigan where you're playing. The Big Ten was phenomenal last year. And he did a great job for Michigan. He was a bright spot on a struggling team.
Yeah, and edge guys out of Michigan normally don't fail pretty bad. So, I mean, there's always that.
Right, and there's like that track record over the past couple of years.
Most definitely.
I thought it was interesting to see some comments about Travis Hunter because Ryan Clark of ESPN said something along the lines of, Travis Hunter, he doesn't think Travis Hunter is a top 3 corner or wide receiver, or he doesn't have that kind of ability or talent. And that if a team is not going to play Travis Hunter on both sides of the ball, then they shouldn't waste a top 5 pick on him because I think, I said, like, he's not Julio Jones, he's not Larry Fitzgerald, he's not a Champ Bailey, he's not Deion Sanders. He is what he is, and he's a very durable player who has that stamina and endurance that other players don't, and that's what makes him special. But it's what Ryan Clark said was that what makes him special is not his talent on one side of the ball or the other. And I honestly agreed from a certain standpoint. I think he is not those players, but he's 22 years old. He's 20. I actually don't know how old he is, but he's around that age, and we're just acting like this is his ceiling. But I do understand from the sense of, he's not like this alpha male at corner or at receiver yet. But who's to say he's not going to get there? What do you guys think about that?
No, I completely agree. I mean, I was going to say, like, you're young, it takes a while to develop your skills, and like he'll figure out where he specializes even if he's not like fully there yet and is playing both sides of the ball. But I do almost agree a little bit that right now with where he's at, like if a team is in need of both of those positions, it is an amazing pick to like just fill those. But yeah.
So you think teams, whoever drafts him is going to play him on both sides?
I would think like starting out that's what they should do, and then like as they figure out where he does really fit, have him specialize in that.
Yeah, I mean, it's proven to work all throughout college. I know that's a different game than in the NFL, but, like, even though if he's not your top 3 receiver and top 3 cornerback at the same time, you're still getting above average, almost elite production from both sides of the ball. So I feel like it's worth the risk. And you look at the teams, like, behind Tennessee, who's probably not going to take him. I mean, Cleveland's right there.
Right.
I know they have a good cornerback room, but they don't have a lot of receivers that can catch the ball. Amari Cooper's still a free agent. New York needs everything. I mean, they've needed everything for probably about 10 years, but they're right there as well that could use an elite corner as well as a ball catcher. And if he falls in New England somehow, that would also work out. So I feel like the teams right behind need him. I think he's going to go to Cleveland or New York. It's just a matter of which one takes him first. Yeah. But he's got a chance to produce elitely.
I mean, if you have a diverse guy who can do both, why not test the waters? Why not draft him, test the waters, see what he is better at doing, and then go from there?
Right. And, it's not. I mean, he's probably one of those 4 or 5 blue chip guys that GM was talking about. So it's really just a matter of where he fits in this class.
Yeah.
I just worry about injuries. Like, it's the NFL. Yeah. It's not college.
Yeah,
to kind of go with what you said, Jacob, it's not college at all in that sense. Injuries are such a bigger part of the NFL than I think a lot of players realize once they get there. And I just worry about that. He's playing that many snaps in the NFL he's gonna get hurt. So and like it's just a matter of how often he's gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
And how that's gonna uphold if he wants to play for a long time. And that's got to be something that you look at as a general manager when you draft somebody.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because it's like, at what point, like, how many snaps does he play at a certain time? How many snaps is he going to play a game? How many offensive, defensive
When he's
snaps is he going to
29
play?
and 30 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
If he's still playing in the NFL
Exactly.
and 30 years old,
Yeah.
what's that going to look like? What's the wear and tear going to look like there?
Yeah, I know. It's so difficult to do that in the NFL. So it'll be interesting to see how he works. That's the risk that comes with him. But the last guy I want to ask you guys about before we move on is, where do you think Ashawn Genty is going to go? Because Ashawn Genty was the best running back in college football last year, almost broke Barry Sanders' record of most rushing yards in a single season. He had over 2,000 and led Boise State to the playoff. So he is someone that can change the game, because we see how well he runs and how well he can break tackles, incredibly strong. But running backs are always, I feel like, a risk in the NFL draft, especially top 10. And he's projected to go around 5 or 6 to the Jags or Raiders. Yeah. So what do you guys kind of see there?
Yeah.
I think running back is running back was like the star of the league last year. The running back position stole the show in 24-25 for the NFL with Saquon and Derrick Henry, and how much those trades ended up impacting the recipients. So I think you're going to see Genty go high. I really do, because of that very reason. And the guy's a stud. And say what you want about the competition he played last year, the tape speaks for itself. I think. I mean, if you just watch a couple of hours of tape, look at like the 6 or 7 yard runs instead of all just the big plays, he's an NFL back. And I think he could be an NFL feature back, where like Saquon or Derrick Henry get a lot of the touches. And in today's NFL, you see so many NFL backfields with like 3 guys, or at least 2 guys that split carries, like in Detroit. Or, I mean, I think a lot of the NFL teams this year had like 3-headed backfields, right? So I think Genty could, in some time, make his way into that conversation of being an every down back, but it's hard to do in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. I think might go like sooner than we think. But I just, overall, like, he was underrated. Like, he was slippery, I guess, is a good way to describe it. I don't know. I just think he'll go sooner than we think. I don't know what team, but I think he'll go sooner than we think.
I agree. I don't really have much.
He was underrated.
I mean, like, I feel like I don't hear as much about him as we could.
He didn't win the Heisman.
Well,
Runner-up. Heisman runner-up.
I said he didn't win the Heisman.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, he's...
That's another conversation.
No, it is. I would honestly agree, because, like, I feel like he should have won the Heisman for the production that he put up. And you can say what you want about the competition, but like you said, just put on the tape. I mean, you watch a YouTube video for 4 minutes of Ashawn Genty and show it to your kid, they're going to be freaking out, because it's like half his touchdowns were 60-yarders. So, I mean, it doesn't lie. So I feel like, to agree with everybody else, I feel like he is going to go probably top 5. If not, he's going to go 6 to the Raiders, which is right there. So I think it should be interesting. But there's not as many top prospects to really talk about this year, which is why we kind of wanted to zone in on the top few or whatever. But definitely a good outlook into tomorrow night, as we all didn't realize came up real quick. Shifting gears a little bit now, we're going to talk about the MLB just real quick, because the season is in full swing, even though it is still getting close to the end of April. But got some teams off to some hot starts. The Dodgers, I mean, they show that spending $1 billion will get you whatever you want. 16-8 with the second best record in the MLB. They're always going to be good. The Yankees had a whole fiasco with torpedo bats. I don't know if you guys heard too much about that, but I feel like that is a good talking point. So I'll let you guys kind of speak your thoughts on that. But
I don't know that much, but I understand the implications of it. Like, I am curious as to what do they plan to do with it? Like, how are they planning to get rid of it? Like, what do they want to do there? I don't know. It's interesting. Just I remember we were talking in one of my classes about I don't remember what team it was, what player it was, but somebody was using a torpedo bat and they hit the ball and it just flew. The bat itself just flew, and I was like, that's kind of insane how aerodynamic those are. That's wild. You can hit hard.
Yeah. there's a lot of science behind them. Like the whole point is to shift like the power of where you make contact with the ball towards the middle of that barrel, and like it's bigger than the barrel is bigger than a normal bat by a pretty significant margin, and it's supposed to be that way for science and to increase more upward lift on the ball. That's why the Yankees have been using them, is because it's supposed to help you get the ball in the air more, increase your power. It also is why it caused a lot of controversy, because it's something we've never seen before in the MLB, but it is legal.
Right.
So it's probably not going to go away anytime soon.
I've heard they're on back order.
They are, pretty much. There's been teams that have put in their individual order for them. Like, it's getting to the point.
Man.
So that's why they've had a hot start, leading the league in runs, but interesting there.
That's what I was going to say, is like, why are they just now coming about now? Like, what is the...
I think they had a staff member that was like really into this kind of stuff, and like kind of like
I understand it's all about science.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's like the Yankees had a science guy that pretty much figured this out. But,
like Bill Nye?
Like the sweet spot.
Yeah, like Bill Nye.
The sweet spot of a baseball bat is obviously where you want to hit it on, but it's ridiculously hard. Like it's like scientifically the hardest thing to do in sports.
Most definitely.
Is hit a baseball. Professionally, like at that level. So I think the idea is that when you do hit the barrel, like when you have the swing you want to and you hit it on the sweet spot, it's going to go further. And it's probably a lot to do with exit velocity, because exit velocity is like a huge thing for these players. That's like a huge metric. But I mean, it's only really been the Yankees so far that have used them consistently. So I think it's being made a bigger deal than it actually is. And that's what I've told everybody who asks me, like, what's the deal with this? Like, well, it's legal, it's regulated, it's just shifting, however much of the bat to the sweet spot, which is already ridiculously hard to hit.
Yeah, and I feel like this reminds you of like middle school, where a fashion trend becomes popular, or like a social media trend becomes popular for like 2 weeks, and then it just goes away.
Yeah, I almost wonder, like, if every team, like, I've heard some players say that they think it's like a placebo effect almost. Yeah. But
it's also just the Yankees.
Yeah, that's true.
If it was like the Milwaukee Brewers doing it, like, who cares?
Right.
But it's the Yankees.
It's the Yankees.
No, it's definitely interesting. And it's like I said, hence the reason why they've got off to such a good start. Like, they're leading the league in runs, so that caused a lot of controversy around the league. But definitely one of the bigger storylines of the early season as well. And then looking kind of out west, like, the NL is really stacked this year so far. I know the Dodgers are up there. They're always going to be up there. The Cubs are another good team with 14 or 15 wins. And then the NL West has the Padres, who are 17-8 now because they just lost today.
They did.
16-8 Dodgers, 15-9 Giants, and 14-9 Diamondbacks. So that division is just looking very scary. But I think it's good for baseball, because the best team in baseball is in that division, which is the Dodgers. And I'm pretty sure every baseball fan doesn't want to see them repeat, just because they can pretty much buy whoever they want.
Right.
So I think it's good to see the Dodgers have some competition.
I was thinking about this the other day. I think that this Dodgers team is, like, looking at it from a mix of star power, experience, and just sheer ability, the most loaded team in the history of sports.
Yeah. It's not
here, I'm actually going to pull loaded as, like I said, from a mix of, like, just pure namesake, ability, talent, and then guys who have had not just like a lot of years in the MLB, but have played in the World Series and have had postseason experience. Like, obviously they have Shohei, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman.
Big three. That's
their big three. And Shohei's going to start pitching soon.
Yeah.
A couple years off of having like a 2.4 ERA and hitting 40 home runs. And then they have these guys, like the tier 2, Teoscar Hernandez, Tommy Edman, who's playing out of his mind right now.
Almost at league in home runs,
Max Muncy, who's been sort of a franchise pillar for them, and then Michael Conforto, played in the World Series, got a lot of postseason experience. Will Smith as a catcher, and then the pitching staff, man. Once Shohei gets back and starting, I'll have him, Roki Sasaki, Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow. I mean, it's just an embarrassment of riches, and I think you can look at some of like the most successful American sports teams ever, and I don't think you can say any of those teams are as good on paper as this Dodgers team is. And obviously, there's a lot of baseball to be played and injuries and whatever, the trade deadline. But I think on paper, it's the most loaded team in sports history, in American sports history. I mean, I couldn't tell you a more stacked team. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers are coming off of a World Series win. I mean, just to keep playing the way that they have. I mean, sometimes you see teams win a championship and then just kind of like slowly decline, slowly fall off. Yeah. And the Dodgers have done anything but that. Like, they've just continued to be a star in the league, to be so high up there. And so, yeah, I mean, you're right. They're stacked. They're loaded. They're scary. But they're beatable. Yeah. But we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, it's early.
Yeah.
It's early, but I mean, it does feel like it's their season to lose.
Yeah.
Like, that's not to say we won't see an AL team get hot, kind of like the Rangers did in 2023. Mm-hmm. But just from an eye test standpoint, I'd say the Yankees, Rangers, and Tigers are my AL favorites right now. I think, and then the Red Sox, because they can make big moves around the deadline.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Tigers have decent enough bats and what looks and what's been a rock-solid five-man rotation.
Mm-hmm.
It's been more than rock-solid, too.
And what's been a great bullpen.
Yeah.
I think the pitching puts them over the top, although, you know, they're one of those teams, one of those kind of gadget teams where, like, they could be 20 wins above or below their over-under for the season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I agree, because the Tigers, like, their biggest mission this year was to prove they were a fluke last year or not, because they made the playoffs on some miracle run with like a 0.2% chance in August. Yeah. So this is their season this year, is to prove whether they were legit last year or not. They got better, especially bringing Jack Flaherty back. They have 4 pitchers now who have a sub-3 ERA. I know it's early, but
still,
I don't care how much you care about baseball. That's impressive to do. But
no, I mean, like you said, coming off of last year, they were 0.2% chance of even making the playoffs in August. Come back, go on this miracle run that they did, make the playoffs, make it to the second round, almost get through, and then come in and start the way that they have. I think that pitching was not even a weakness, but it was something that so it was a weakness.
2 starting pitchers.
It was a weakness then. Like we struggled last year, and now to come in and have 4 guys who have been playing out of their minds, people who can actually hit. And last year that we struggled really badly with that at the beginning of the season, was we had no offense. And now to see the like how far we've come with that even has been incredible.
Yeah. It's been nice. It's like refreshing too, because they're 15-10 this year, which is their best start since 2015. When that was like the end of their glory days essentially. So to see them playing well is awesome, and I think a big part of that has been Spencer Torkelson's kind of
he's been on
resurgence, because he's finally playing like the number 1 overall pick that he was supposed to be. Averages near 300, 7 home runs already on the season. That's what we all expected from him, and this has only been a month too. So very positive sign to see. And they've had other guys step up. I mean, Riley Green struggled this year, and they still have 15 wins. He had a crazy struggle streak, so that's been nice to see. And just random guys like Zach McKinstry. And
Thomas Nido had a really good game the other day too. Where did he come from?
It's just guys stepping up. I mean, it's kind of like last year.
Yeah.
It was organized chaos, as they said. When they had 2 starting pitchers, and really it was a managerial masterclass down the stretch last year. That was unbelievable what that staff did with the lineup and the bullpen and the pitching rotation. But that's another story.
Yeah, most definitely. But definitely some dogs over there in Detroit, as I like to say. Got a rep for the brand here today, but that's pretty much your the best recap you're going to get of the MLB season so far, and that's what we can give you. But
it's the best.
For our final 2 segments of the day, we're going to talk some playoffs, because the NBA and NHL are in full swing. Games every night. This is about as good as it gets as a NBA or NHL fan, the first rounds of the playoffs. So I want to start with the NBA. And we're going to talk about other teams too, but for Detroit's sake and the region aspect of this podcast, the Pistons are tied now with the Knicks 1-1. Stole a game in the Garden on Monday night, and I think it proves how gritty they can be. Like when I look at these 2 teams, Detroit and New York, Detroit is playing like a shade of the Bad Boys almost, and New York is playing like a team that can't handle any sort of contact whatsoever.
I agree, dude. I watched the first game and I we shouldn't have lost that. Or
No.
We should not have lost that.
There's the Nova boys.
Yeah.
The Nova boys. The Nova boys.
It's honestly their defense. Like, you don't see that much in the NBA. Like, the Pistons' defense has been really, really good. And I don't think other teams, like, are keeping up like that.
Yeah, because you look at, like, the eye one of my favorite things is the eye test. You look at the Pistons and you're like, okay, they got Cade Cunningham.
Right.
And then probably like the casual NBA fans gonna be like, well, who else do they got? And I know like the above average basketball fans, like, they got Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren, all these guys that really contribute heavily. But for the average fan, like, this team is not really that great on paper.
No.
Right.
They've stepped up with JV Bickerstaff kind of coaching this team, implemented a great game plan, told them to play tough every night, and this team gives Bickerstaff and the city of Detroit everything they got night in and night out. And I feel like that's why they deserve to win games, because they're going to match up a team against like the Knicks, where the Knicks, they're flopping all over the place trying to get calls because they're used to playing soft. Like Karl-Anthony Towns is a big man. He's looking at the three-point line every single play, like get in the paint. Like they don't want to play the same brand of basketball that Detroit does. And I think that's why the Pistons are able to steal a few games this series, is because they can't handle it. But.
And nobody even expected them to win at the Garden, period. Like, nobody expected them to go in and actually pick up a game at MSG.
Yeah, no.
So, I mean, that it shows a lot about what this team can do and how gritty they are and just how tough they are mentally, and obviously overcoming one of the worst seasons in NBA history to come back and triple the amount of games that they won last year and then pick up a game at the Garden. Like, that's a huge deal for that team.
Yeah, they're just like really figuring things out under pressure, and I think it's really impressive.
Yeah. And first playoff win since 2008
that's
on Monday.
Insane.
Like, we were like all around 4 or 5 years old when that happened. So, I mean, like, tells you how much of a long time coming it's been. But great to see for the Pistons. And my only last comment is Jalen Brunson is like my biggest op, as the kids would say.
Yeah, well, so the Pistons are really well coached.
Yes.
And they have an identity. And that identity is the city. Like, it doesn't nothing to do with basketball. I mean, they're they play good defense and they're connected, but their identity is Detroit. I think a lot of those guys, like Beasley and some of those guys, have really sort of embraced it. So I think that's what I noticed when I watched Pistons. I'm the only non-Pistons fan in this room.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, I can play devil's advocate a little bit for the sake of this podcast. I think like the stuff with Jalen Brunson. I mean, this is nothing new, right? Like this is James Harden and Trae Young. And James Harden's still doing it, by the way.
Yeah.
The Clippers are playing my Nuggets, and it happens every other time down the floor.
My Nuggets. They're mine.
My Nuggets. Tell him, Thomas. Tell him.
You guys done?
Sorry.
I can keep going if you want.
James Harden does it every single time down the floor. And Trae Young, there's those problems where they had to change the rules over the pandemic. So this is just recency bias, in my opinion. It's just a knee-jerk reaction, kind of.
Yeah, and I think it's true. But I want to go back to what you said about the city, like how the Pistons performing.
I was about to do that,
because Detroit's entire word of just like their motivational word for the last 5 years for the city has been grit. That's how the Lions became good. It's because Dan Campbell came in 2021 and said, I don't care how good of a roster we have, you guys are going to play your butt off every single day, and you're going to play for the city.
Yeah.
That's how the Tigers made the playoffs last year. Their nickname was Gritty Tigers.
That's what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say, because Jason Benetti said a city that never cared about the odds now has a team to match.
Such a bar.
That's engraved in my brain. And that's how, except for the Red Wings, that's how every single team in Detroit has played, is against the odds. And that's all they've done for the city. They want to have success for the city, and that's exactly what all 4 of these teams have done.
Yeah. From a fan's perspective, this has been like one of the best stretches we've had in so long.
Yeah.
I mean, just to see these guys compete again, and the future's really bright because all these teams are still very young. But that is a lot about the Pistons. I know your Nuggets are in the playoffs too, but
We're going through it over here, man.
I mean, you guys got to win one series
We don't
too.
got a GM. All we have is the best.
Yeah, that was a
world.
very strange kind of end to your season, firing your coach and GM like a week before the playoffs, and then kind of saying, "All right, go out there and play and try to get us a series."
Figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, some was going on there.
Yeah,
We don't,
probably something deeper.
for sure. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
We have no idea.
Yeah, and it's been kind of a trend. Like, if there's been the Grizzlies fired Taylor Jenkins 2 weeks before the playoffs, and now they are getting blown out by 70 points combined in their first 2 games versus the Thunder. So, like, whatever works, there's always something kind of a bigger story in the NBA. But that's definitely been a notable thing in terms of the Thunder. I mean, some other notable results as well. The Timberwolves and Lakers series is tied 1-1, which is probably the best, if not one of the best
great series.
matchups in the first round in the NBA. So that one is definitely one to monitor. But something I really want to note is Giannis Antetokounmpo has not won a playoff game since 2022. And that was a year removed from when they won the championship in 2021. So, I mean, his struggles with the Bucks have been kind of unorthodox for what we've seen in terms of his early career, but I think that's definitely an interesting storyline. If you guys have any thoughts on that, I'll look past Maddie.
Good idea.
But
For Giannis?
yeah, or just the Bucks in general.
I mean, okay, Bucks in general. I mean, they're down bad.
Yeah, I like that.
They're down bad.
I mean, I haven't really watched this series, but I do have a lot of criticism for the Bucks organization and how they use Giannis. And yeah, I mean, we saw a couple years ago they lost. They were the number 1 seed and they lost in 5 games in the first round.
Yeah.
I mean, that was despicable. And we're starting. It's not the same this year, but it does sort of have that eerie feel going in to Game 4, Game 5. You're like, they're about to lose this thing.
Yeah.
And where do they go from here? Giannis is like the opposite of a diva, right? So you're lucky that you're not gonna have a guy that's just gonna leave after this.
Yeah.
But at what point does he leave?
Yeah.
Or at what point do you trade him because you don't have a future, kind of like the Mavericks did? And I think like going back to the Lakers Timberwolves thing, the LA Times Lakers reporters have really talked about how much excitement that there is for the Lakers in the playoffs, which is so crazy because it's the Lakers, right? Like, of course there's excitement, but it's the impact of Luka Doncic, right? And I'm personally afraid of Nikola Jokic going to the Lakers after LeBron retires. And there's just there's this sense that the Lakers are going to rule the NBA for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Among Lakers fans, so big shocker.
Yeah.
Big shocker.
Well, it's not, I feel like, too far-fetched because the Lakers, the only reason they've kind of been good,
Get the money to do it,
they have
too.
money, but they've also sustained success probably for, since Magic Johnson was playing there. I mean, even before that, even though they had a few rough seasons, kind of the 2010s before LeBron got there, I mean, they've always been a great team.
Yeah.
And they have money because, I mean, see the theme, pair it with the Dodgers. They play in Los Angeles. Like,
It's the Showtime Lakers, man.
You can see that. So they'll always be able to get anybody, no matter how many draft picks they give up in the trade. But, I mean, just that's kind of how the league is. They got to send some players over to the East, man. This is going to get sad. I mean, but it's good for the Pistons to contend. But, yeah, if Giannis leaves the East, I feel like the NBA's product is just like, I like meh. It's starting to kind of get repetitive, starting to get like that kind of thing. But I mean, anything for ratings. That's kind of how the NBA is. But moving on to our last segment for today, talking NHL playoffs. This is Maddie's time to shine, so we'll give you lots of mic time here. But I want to talk about Monday in the NHL because those were some of the craziest playoff games I can remember in a long time. I mean, me and you talked about how this could be one of the best first rounds ever.
I gotta remember who played.
I'll run it down for you a little bit. Okay, I'll set the stage for like a great follow up.
Okay.
So I believe it was Monday. If I'm wrong, then this is bad.
I think you're right.
So like the Capitals are in a series with Montreal. They won in overtime that game.
Yeah, they did.
3-2, and Alex Ovechkin hit the game winner, which is pretty much just poetic at this point. I mean, this is one of his best seasons ever.
It's his first ever overtime game-winning goal in the playoffs too. His first ever.
Yeah, it would be the season he breaks the scoring record. Like that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But quick other really recap before we let you guys talk. The Jets beat the Blues 2-1. We talked about them being on upset watch last episode, and they've started out their series strong 2-0 against the Blues. The Stars came all the way back against the Avalanche to tie their series at 1-1 because that's also going to be a crazy series. They were down multiple goals, came back, and then one of the craziest games I could say I've had on in the background while I wasn't actually watching it. The Oilers almost pulled off a crazy comeback versus the Kings, scoring 5 straight goals.
Yeah.
But then they lost 6-5 because LA scored about 20 seconds later.
Yeah.
So I'll let you guys kind of.
I mean, that's an interesting one too because LA and Edmonton have been playing each other in the playoffs for the last like 4 years.
Yeah.
And LA just can't seem to get past Edmonton most of the time.
Yep.
And so it'll be interesting if LA can pull off that upset, which really wouldn't even be an upset. Obviously, Edmonton went to the Stanley Cup final last year, but they're in a lower spot than LA is right now. And LA got off to a really hot start this season. Like, they've had a really great season. I do want to, for Thomas's sake, Colorado and Dallas is going to be a killer series. I have Colorado winning the whole thing.
I also have Colorado.
And I, as a Detroit fan, I cannot like Colorado, but this team is just insane. Like, Colorado's...
And the trade they made recently, it's really... It's kind of like in basketball when you trade for a group, you trade one really good player for a group of role players, and then all of a sudden those role players become something different with a guy that's on this team. And that's what's happening. They're catching passes from Nathan McKinnon now. So, like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
That's much better hockey players, and it hurt to make that trade, I think, for them. But it was one that really made them better, and you're starting to see that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have them winning it all. And I've only watched the Avs. I haven't watched any other NHL games. It's really gonna be a really good series. I mean, the other night, I spent 5 hours of my life watching the Nuggets lose and then the Avalanche lose. And I'll do it again.
I mean, just the trades that obviously it was tough for a lot of those players on the Avs to see a player like Mikko Rantanen go, but bringing in guys like Charlie Coyle, like Logan Stankoven. No, he went to Carolina in the trade from Mikko to Dallas. There was 4 or 5 guys they brought in: Brock Nelson, Charlie Coyle.
Role players.
Yeah. I mean, just like solid players that add depth to this lineup that already has stars on it, like McKinnon, like Makar. Obviously, they have Landeskog back now, which is an awesome, like an unbelievable storyline.
Yes.
Just he hasn't played in a game since they won the Stanley Cup in 2022.
2022.
And now he makes his debut in the 3rd game of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Like, that's insane. That's just an awesome
Good on
storyline.
you for giving your flowers to the Avalanche.
I will.
Yeah, that deserves some credit.
They do, and I
said you deserve some credit.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
This
you.
is why we have Benny.
I
Plug.
am a Red Wings fan forever and ever, and I hate the Colorado Avalanche, but they're the real deal this year. Like, they'll go far.
Yeah, but I mean, the Stars aren't an easy first round.
No,
matchup,
the Stars.
Which is why it's like
That's such a good matchup.
They played the Stars last year in the first round.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
I feel like it's for the Avs.
lost
Like,
in
if you
7.
get past them, it's probably a better chance to get to the final rather than like, just getting out the first round, because that's how the NHL kind of works. Their playoff format's a little wonky, but I feel like it's the same thing as the Orioles-Kings series. Like, the Kings, they need to break through, and I mean, Edmonton's not going to score 5 straight again. So, but it also gives Edmonton hope that they can do that and kind of put that together over.
I feel like that could haunt them. I'll be haunted.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Like, especially losing 4 straight years, you got to bounce back at some point.
Yeah.
So it's just like it reminds me of like LeBronto a little bit. LeBron just like owning Toronto for however many years around the playoffs. But I mean, that's why we get such great sports storylines, is because things like this exist, and it's just like an ownage. But the playoffs have not disappointed so far. It's been really cool to see.
I mean, another one that's been really interesting is a lot of people have said, like, whoever wins the Battle of Florida is going straight to the Stanley Cup, to the final round. And Florida, the Panthers beat the Lightning 5-2 the other night. And everybody on Twitter was like, that's the same Panthers team we saw last year. Like, they're going to destroy Tampa Bay. They, at one point, I saw they had 5 goals on 13 shots. That's wild, especially for if I don't know if Vasilevsky was in, but if he was, that's a really, really bad game for him, because he's been a really solid goaltender since he stepped into the league. I knew that New Jersey was going to get whooped by Carolina. That's I said that last episode. That's bad, especially when New Jersey loses Brenda Dillon and Luke Hughes in the same game. That's just atrocious.
She knew.
Yeah,
I knew it. I knew. I was like, man, that's gonna be a bad matchup. For Minnesota and Vegas to be tied at this point is also a little wild to me because Vegas has a really, really deep roster. They kind of remind me of Colorado. Like, I can see that being a Western Conference final.
Yeah.
But I mean, Minnesota had a really good game last night against Vegas. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting matchups, and for Montreal to take Washington to overtime is wild to me because everybody's been talking Washington Capitals. I don't hear enough of it from our dear coworker Jason Benedek about how amazing his Washington Capitals are. I'm a little worried for him, especially with this Montreal team that's been hot for the last month and a half.
I didn't watch the series. I didn't watch the game on Tuesday, Monday.
I think it was Tuesday. Monday, Tuesday, whatever it was.
Like I said, I was watching the Nuggets, but my uncle, who's a big hockey guy, texted us, and he said something about Ovechkin doesn't play defense.
No, he can't play defense.
He said, "What a goal! Ovi's incredible, but he doesn't do anything else but score, like play defense."
Yeah.
So I guess I'm a basketball guy. I've seen that exist in the NBA, and it works. If you have people around them that can play defense and do other things, it works. Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah.
That's how, like, a guy like Patrick Kane, he can't play defense to save his life, but he can pass the puck, and he has the most insane stick handling skills I've ever seen in my life. So, like you said, it can work. It can totally work. That's how Connor McDavid is. Connor McDavid doesn't play defense very well at all, and you see the team that he's on make it to the Stanley Cup final last year. Like, you can have these star guys who can't do anything besides pass the puck and have 100-plus assists a season and still make it as far as they do.
Kobe won 5 rings, right?
Yeah. I know. I think the common denominator to some extent is age. I mean, Alex Ovechkin's like almost Santa Claus at this point.
He's 39, yeah. He's old.
Patrick Kane's another one that's up there in age, and Connor McDavid is starting to get up there, like ever so slightly. He kind of reminds me of like Luka Doncic in the NBA. His defense is not anywhere near exceptional, but he can score 30 points a game and then get you a win. So
I wonder how much of that is like saving one end for the other.
Yeah.
Right? Like, would I be able to go out and get 35 if I'm Luka Doncic? If I'm busting my butt on the defensive end, probably not.
Yeah, no, because for guys like Luka, I mean, you can get tired, but also I feel like that's why age kind of holds you back a little bit. Because Alex Ovechkin is not gonna get out there and skate around the ice at a very fast pace for his age, but
we also saw him like break a bone in his leg and then come back 4 weeks later and break the goal record. So
yeah, he's kind of inhuman. So I'm not gonna downplay.
He's a robot.
I'm not gonna downplay him anymore. But I mean, they also, I feel like they have to get past this first round for the Capitals to really talk about having like a very successful season, because that's always kind of been their knock. I mean, they can't really get too far out of the first round, second round even. I know they won the Stanley Cup
in 2018.
In 2018, so I know there was that, but I mean.
But last year, I mean, they made it. Yeah. They made it last year by a thread.
Yeah.
So yeah, we haven't seen the success of Washington in quite some time. So it will be interesting to see if they can make it past Montreal.
Their best chance. Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
go Colorado. I guess. If it's Colorado and Winnipeg for round 2 of the playoffs, that's where Winnipeg gets hit with the curse of the President's Trophy.
Yeah.
That's where things crumble for them, is against Colorado. Because if they get past St. Louis, which they've been playing a really good series against St. Louis. St. Louis has been doing as much as they can, and Winnipeg is known for not doing great in the first round of the playoffs. They lost last year after having a really successful season, winning the President's Trophy this year for the first time in their franchise. They aren't making it. They aren't making it to the Cup.
Yeah, especially because the Blues are giving them tough games.
Yeah.
So you need to kind of get some experience. It's like the Thunder had the best record in the NBA. I don't want to keep putting this in the NBA, but for example,
no, it's fine.
Had the best record in the West, and then or the entire league, and then they're dominating the Grizzlies. So the Jets, like, I know it's not in their DNA to always win early in the playoffs, but I mean, if the Blues are going to give you tough games, you're not going to be prepared for what a team like the Avalanche is going to hit you with in the second round. I mean, this turned into an avalanche hype up podcast, but I mean,
Love letter. I mean, I wouldn't want to
A
face
love
him.
letter to the God.
I wouldn't want to face him right now.
yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't either. I really wouldn't either.
we have the
really
expert
wouldn't want to
analysis, so that is Thomas Cow. But yeah, I mean, any closing thoughts? That'll pretty much wrap it up otherwise, but. Yeah,
I'm gonna miss doing this.
I know. It's
only did it
No, it's the
twice.
last one.
Yeah, wow.
Can we just sit here and talk for a while, you guys?
I would say that's a great idea.
no.
I would say that's a great idea, but I think our podcast host in the back is probably gonna disagree, to say the least. So.
Maybe we could just all do it again tomorrow.
You free tomorrow, Taylor? He's saying no, so that's
We'll
cool.
give you extra credit. But sadly enough, that is going to do it for this year and this episode of Sports Roundtable. But it has been a pleasure to talk alongside some of the best in the newsroom and even start co-hosting this with Maddie. So this has been a very, very good experience. And thank you guys for listening all year. It's definitely been a pleasure. Yeah.
Thanks for having
Thanks,
me.
guys. Thank you.
Of course. Thank the crowd while you're at it.
Thanks, everybody.
Guys.
Yes. That's going to do it for this episode and this year of Sports Roundtable. We will see you guys next time. Bye.